Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and explain transformation to a parabola, and I'm going to kind of explain how I have the screen set up first and foremost so you kind of understand what's going on here. Right over here I have a function, and this function, when I look at it, it's f of x equals a times x minus h squared plus k. This is the vertex form of a parabola. Right below here I have a line, x equals 0. That's going to be my axis of symmetry. And my point right here, point A, is going to be my vertex. Now, what's nice about having this in vertex form, we know from H and K we're able to actually tell what is the vertex just by looking at the equation. But let's look at transformations as they happen. So let's move each one of these little sliders right here, A, H, and K, so as I change them, what actually happens to the graph. So let's look at A first. It's the number that's directly in front of the parentheses that's being squared. As this number gets larger, as you can see in the graph, it's actually getting skinnier. This is a vertical stretch. The larger the number gets, the skinnier it gets because it's getting stretched out. As we go in the other direction, between 0 and 1, we're now doing a vertical compression. You can see how it's getting wider and wider and wider. And it always says in the rules that the a cannot equal 0, and this is the reason why. When a gets to 0, it just becomes your x-axis if you haven't moved it up or down. It just becomes a horizontal line. But when a turns negative, it reflects about the x-axis. And the same thing goes. As the number gets bigger, it gets skinnier and skinnier. So let's put this back at 1. And we're back to our parent function. With my h, that's what's inside the parentheses. Now you're used to seeing this is x minus h. So as we start moving and the number is getting larger, we're subtracting by a larger number. It's actually moving to the right, positive. Now if you notice what's actually changing here, over here the x value of my point, my vertex is changing, and my axis of symmetry is changing. And my axis of symmetry goes directly through my vertex. So you can see as I'm moving this, the axis of symmetry moves and the vertex moves. But this is only moving left and right. It's the only way it's going to go. It's called a horizontal translation. It's rigid motion. It doesn't change the shape. What it does is just simply changes where your vertex is, which is going to be changing your x value. The next one I'm going to go ahead and move. I'm going to set this on 2 here. The next one I'm going to move is going to be my k. And as I move this, you'll see that the graph starts moving up and down. It doesn't change my axis of symmetry, but what's actually happening in the equation here, just on the outside, is changing my y value. As the number gets bigger, it goes up. As the number gets smaller and goes into the negatives, all it is it moves down. So those are your 3 basic transformations of a parabola. Hopefully by looking at this you can see the relationship between the axis of symmetry and how things change. When I move the graph up and down, the axis of symmetry does not change. So as I move my k, it does not change. However, the axis of symmetry does change when I move my h, my x value. It moves left and right. Now my axis of symmetry will not change as I'm doing vertical stretching and compression on this, or as a reflection.